the Owls became a part of Big Five history by competing in the first championship game of its kind at the Wells Fargo Center. Let the party begin.
I'm Owen Hill, live from the studio set. Temple vs. St. Joe's was the third game in a triple-header on Saturday. I'll be discussing the other two games in the Big Five Classic tournament that took a role of basketball appetizer.
And I'm Kylie O'Connor reporting live from McGonigal Hall. Later, I'll be talking about a varsity team that was cut 10 years ago and later resurfaced as a club team. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Yes, that was the game of the year so far. Temple's win over LaSalle in triple overtime last Wednesday. Big thanks to our own Ava Cheeseman for the awesome visuals. Welcome inside the TV3 studio sets to OwlSports Update. I'm Dave Podolsky. He's Michael Mirville. It is our final show of 2023.
And it's a big one. Thanks to that triple overtime win, the Owls found themselves in the Big Five Classic title game at the Wells Fargo Center.
It's the first ever Big Five Classic, and there probably weren't too many people who predicted the Hawks and the Owls would be the ones playing for that title. You had to think the Owls might be a bit weary on Saturday. This game came just a few days after Temple had beaten LaSalle in that triple overtime game, but there was a lot on the line. Some history, along with bragging rights of being the best D1 school in the Philadelphia area. Game day in a battle of the birds, looking to prove they're the king of basketball in Philly. Midway through the first, Hyzier Miller connects on deep ball. The juniors struggle in this one, shooting 4 of 17 from the field, only posting 10 points. St. Joe's had the deep ball falling for much of the game. Earl Reynolds II connects on that 3. The stand-up for Temple was freshman Zion Stanford. Penetrates through a pack of defenders for a tough 2, but St. Joe's once again with an answer. Anthony Finkley turning garbage into gold off the miss from his teammate. Temple in need of a bucket once again. Zion Stanford connects on elbow jumper. He had 18 on the night. Now in the second half, Lynn Greer III battles through the Owls defense, earns himself 3 points the old-fashioned way. Owls stayed competitive throughout. However, it's St. Joe's who pulls out the win in Big Five title, 74-65. When Temple came up short, Adam Fisher has to be happy with his team's resilience. The Owls got down by as many as 15 points, but they stayed competitive. They cut the deficit to 8 with a minute and change to play. Not to mention, key players stepped up in Jaleel White's absence. Jordan Riley scored a career high of 20 points in the loss. And for the Hawks, it's been a great start to the season. They are now 7-2 on the year, and not to mention, Big Five champions.
This year's Big Five Classic was the first of its kind in a new format. Throughout November, 6 Philly schools competed in 2 pods to determine a championship game at the Wells Fargo Center. That's how we got Temple versus St. Joe's in a basketball event for the entire city to enjoy. Fans gathered in droves to watch the inaugural Big Five Classic triple header at the Wells Fargo Center.
I'm really excited. It's the first time I've been to a basketball game here that wasn't for the Sixers.
The new format was introduced this year. The city's 6 D1 schools broken up into 2 divisions. The 2 winners meet in the title game. And this year, it was Temple and St. Joe's. The format itself is pretty simple, but coordinating such a big event that included 6 local college, 1 city, and 1 huge arena is complicated.
We really tried to educate our whole team on the history of the Big Five. We've done videos, we've talked about it a lot, so our whole team has an understanding of how special and unique this is.
The Owls got to the title game by beating Drexel and LaSalle in November. Temple fans, staff, and family have all come out to support their Owls in the Big Five Classic Championship game. More than 15,000 people turned out for the triple header that started at 2 p.m. with Villanova and Drexel, and then continued with LaSalle and Penn.
It's great to have Temple here at the Wells Fargo Center, especially showing that the city of what Temple's made of. I am Temple made, I am Temple proud.
And although Temple lost the championship bout against the Hawks 74-65, the Owls will look forward to be etched in Big Five history for years to come. As mentioned, more than 15,000 fans were on hand during the triple header that started at 2 o'clock on Saturday and didn't end until about 10 o'clock. For a closer look at the results of each game, OwlSports Update's Owen Hill is live at the studio set. Hey, Owen.
Thanks, Michael. Yes, kicking off the tournament at 2, nationally ranked Villanova took on Drexel for the 5th place game. Sounds odd, but yes, a nationally ranked team playing for 5th place in a 6-team tournament. The Wildcats were 13-point favorites, but fell to the Dragons 57-55. This is Villanova's 3rd loss on the year. Ironically, all 3 losses coming from teams within the City Six. At 4:45 in the second game, LaSalle took on UPenn in the 3rd place game. Remember, LaSalle just played in that triple overtime game versus Temple a few days earlier, and they went extra in their game against Penn as well. In an overtime thriller, Penn hit a shot to take the lead with 4 seconds left, but that just simply wasn't enough. LaSalle pulled away with the win thanks to Khalil Brantley with his one-legged half-court shot buzzer beater. The Quakers fall to the Explorers in a high-scoring battle, 93-92. So it goes St. Joe's, Temple, LaSalle, Penn, Drexel, and Villanova in that order for the first ever Big Five Classic. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Owen Hill. Guys, back to you on the desk.
After the Big Five championship loss, the Owls look to bounce back at home Wednesday against the Bloomsburg Huskies. From the corner, Matteo Piccarelli 3 is good. He finished the game with 11 points. From the same spot, another 3, this time from Sam Hoffman. The Owls are feeling hot, and he connects with a 3 of his own. Now Jordan Riley. He finishes the game with a team-high 16 points. He also hit a 3 from the same corner. Sam DeZone lays the ball in the second half and scores a career high for himself with 13 points. The Owls are hitting on all cylinders now with back-to-back 3s, first from Hoffman and then Steve Settle III. The 6 Owls finished in double digits during the bout. Temple dominates the entire game and they topple the Huskies 85-55.
The women's basketball team split in the desert in Tempe, Arizona for the Bryant January Classic this past weekend. On Friday, the Owls dominated all 4 quarters of action. Tiara East, she led the way, 13 points, while 4 total Owls went over double digits in scoring. They won that game 78-41. However, on Saturday, the team was not as fortunate. Despite a 17-point effort from Aaliyah Nelson, Pacific and its 21-point outing from Liz Smith were just too much for Temple. Owl falls in a close one thanks to a late comeback, 79-78.
Against threes, but the game plan for this particular game was to attack the rim. And we didn't do that early on and kind of dug a hole with that. But we knew our advantage with this team is to get to the rim. And once we did that and got off those threes, we saw a difference. We've had a slow start in the games that we've lost. And so we were really intentional about trying to score early and not digging a deep lead. We kind of lost it in the second and third quarter and then had to claw our way back.
Yeah. Although we won't be here to cover it with our live shows, there is a ton of Temple men's and women's hoops being played during the break. To start with the men's team, they'll be home taking on Albany on the 12th, and then they are on the road for about a month. and it includes a trip to Hawaii for 3 games that starts with Nevada. Then there is the first conference game on the 4th versus South Florida. The women's team is on the opposite end. Just about every other game over break is in Philly. The first time they leave the city between now and that game will be against Tulsa on January 6th.
It's time for a break, not just a commercial break, more like a jailbreak.
Yep, the #1 Temple football players rushing to the portal is growing. We'll have an update on who's heading to the exits.
And I'm Kylie O'Connor at Pearson McGonigal Hall. Men's gymnastics has not been a varsity sport here since 2013, but the team is thriving in a different role on campus. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back. First, it was E.J. Warner, and now the list is long. Several Owls have announced that they will be entering the transfer portal shortly after Temple ended the season at 3-9. Inside the Nest beat reporter Hayden Bandel is here to talk more about the portal and what this means moving forward. Hey, Hayden.
Hey, Michael. 6 Owls have entered their names in the transfer portal. 2 offensive players who were both single digits and 4 defensive players, although it's the pair of guys on offense that is getting most of the chatter. The big one is E.J. Warner, who cemented himself in Temple history in just 2 seasons. We talked about this in last week's show. In his freshman year, Warner was named as the Freshman of the Year in the AAC. He completed the 2nd and 3rd highest passing yards total in a single season at Temple, only behind P.J. Walker in 2016. He is the only Owl to have thrown for over 500 yards in a single game as well. Edward Sadie took to X to mention he is entering the portal with 1 year left of eligibility. Sadie led the Owls in rushing yards in 2021 and 22. On defense, cornerback Chris Bell, safety Shamar Williams, and defensive linemen Davion Hood and Zamir Cobbs are also in the portal. Alex Odom is another big name who will not be with the Owls next season, but also is unsure if he will enter the portal. Odom started for 4 years and earned a single-digit honor until it got revoked late in the season.
Hayden, given E.J. Warren's pedigree, teams will not be ducking at the chance to get him. It's going to be a horse race.
Yeah, Danny, I think teams are going to be very anxious around the country to get him. I have 3 schools in mind. The first one is Syracuse, who just hired former Temple defensive coordinator Fran Brown. Garrett Schrader, the Orange quarterback, has no eligibility remaining. The second school is Kansas State, where E.J. Warner's brother played. Will Howard, the Wildcats quarterback this previous season, entered the transfer portal as well. Then there's Iowa. Only Academy schools average less passing yards per game than the Hawkeyes, who still managed to make it to the Big Ten championship game. It'll be interesting to see if E.J. Warner can get to the Hawkeyes and really fling the football there.
Well, Hayden, 6 Owls have entered the portal with obviously E.J. being a key name. Do you see any more Owls following suit?
Yeah, I think E.J. Warner was kind of the first domino to fall for Temple guys. Temple is not bringing in a lot of NIL money compared to other schools, not just around the nation, but also in the country. So it is really hard to see what the pitch is to come to Temple and to stay as well. Either way, the football talk will be back for a while during the offseason. The next time the Owls are back in the news is likely on National Signing Day in February. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Hayden Bandel. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Hayden. Moving on from football, we're going to take the vault to gymnastics and from a varsity sport to a club sport.
This time, it's men's gymnastics. 10 years after the varsity team was cut from Temple's program, they're still around in a different role. OwlSports Update's Kylie O'Connor joins us live from McGonigal Hall. Hey, Kylie.
Yes, guys, there's been many different parts that come into play for the rebuilding of this club gymnastics team. The team is constantly rebuilding thanks to its returning head coach and tons of new faces.
Coach Jesse Kitson Abelson has had a long journey with Temple men's gymnastics.
A journey that started as a gymnast more than 10 years ago in 2013, when the Owls were still a varsity team. Now, in 2023, he's the head coach of the club team.
Don't think, just move!
The transition from varsity to club hasn't been easy, and it might not have been possible if it weren't for Jesse.
The culture has been rebuilt because it was dark and difficult and nobody left about 7 years ago.
When I first got here, we had 12 guys on the team. 4 years later, we have 20. So just to see the overall growth.
With 10 students as part of Temple's 2027 class, the freshmen are in the majority.
So half our team is freshmen, which is exciting.
The Temple men's gymnastics team has come a long way as a club team after being cut as a varsity program. Rebuilding is a constant for a team that is no longer supported by the athletic department.
We now have to work for everything that we pay for, so it means now we have to do a lot more grunt work. We have to do physical fundraising, very much real life. How do we pay for this? We need to fly somewhere, we want team shoes, great. How do we get the money? Just a lot of extra work.
It's clear when the program sees a challenge, the team sees an opportunity. And that first opportunity comes Friday on campus for a Cherry versus White intra-squad matchup within the team to kick off the season. Last year, the Owls finished 5th place in the GymAct National Championships and 3rd place in the Eastern Conference Championships.
This gymnastics team had their first intra-squad matchup this Friday evening at 5:15, followed by a season that will end in mid-May. Reporting from McGonigal Hall, I'm Kylie O'Connor. Guys, it's back to you.
Thanks, Kylie. We're up against our second break of the show, but stay right here. After the break, we'll check out this fencing team and its perfect start to this season.
And it is almost time for our favorite segment of the show, Prime Picks. OwlSports Update will be back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back. The fencing team's season began just last week, and the Owls are off to an amazing start with second-year head coach Jenny Salmon in control. OwlSports Update's Jake Holzhauer explains.
Year 2 for Jenny Salmon, and there is hope that it will be just as good as the first one. Just last year, the fencing team moved on to their second head coach in program history. And it's rare to see instant success when bringing in a new coach. But ever since Temple brought in Jenny Salmon, they haven't looked back.
The expectation is that we're able to execute and win where we should, and then we're looking to overcome some of those tight losses we had last year.
In Coach Salmon's first year, the Owls went 30-17 in dual play. It's just the third time in program history that Temple has reached 30 wins in a single season. And already this season, Temple is a perfect 4-0.
The FA squad last year had the most wins ever was really a good point of pride to show.
Pride to show, especially when you consider what last season was like for Salmon. She replaced Nikki Frank, who was the head coach at Temple for 50 years.
She's kept a lot of the traditions that have been like decades-long traditions, but she's also implemented her own thoughts and ideas. So it's this really awesome mix of new traditions and old traditions. So.
One of these new traditions happen after every meet. Coach Salmon gets the team together and tells them to write about what they think they did well that day and what they think they can improve on.
We always step back after every meet and every competition, and we do a reflection.
The fencing team is looking to stay undefeated in dual play next January, where they'll be heading to the Penn State Invitational. I'm Jake Holzhauer reporting with OwlSports Update.
Moving on from fencing, it's now time for the final edition of our favorite segment, Prime Picks.
Danny and I will each pick one athlete who we thought stood out this week before coming together and agreeing on our own Prime Pick of the Week.
I'm going to get us started. We're going with a member of Diane Richardson's team that stepped up for the Owls. That was Tiara East. The 5'10 junior has continued to round out her game in her third year on North Broad. She scored 13 points in both matches for the Owls last week against Xavier and Pacific respectively. She's an incredibly handsy defender as well. That was shown by her 3 steals in the team's win over Xavier. Not to mention, she's tied for the team lead in steals and is second in points per game.
Well, yeah, I agree. But staying with basketball and moving over to the men's side, Jordan Riley has emerged as a star for the Owls in the Big 5 Classic Championship despite the loss to St. Joe's. While the Owls saw limited scoring from starters Mateo Piccarelli and Hasir Miller, Riley stepped up in the big game with 20 points and 8 rebounds, shooting 50% from beyond the arc. Now listen, Riley has also stepped up on the other side of the ball, earning 3 steals and 2 blocks, which were both team highs in the game for the Owls. The Georgetown transfer has started the last 3 games, averaging 15 points during his stint.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Michael. Especially with Jaleel White out, Riley has stepped up. However, we both agreed our prime pick of the week, freshman Zion Stanford. First of all, shout out to Zion Stanford. He's the first freshman to win our prime pick, and this kid is fun. Stanford has been the spark plug off the bench all year for the Owls, for Adam Fisher's team.
I mean, yeah, the freshman is starting to turn heads this season with his recent play. In the Big 5 championship game, Stanford rose to the occasion for the Owls. Philly's own scored 19 points and 9 rebounds on 63% shooting coming off of the bench. He also scored 14 points in Wednesday night's win over Bloomsburg. The Owls can lean on Stanford as this season continues on into conference play come January.
That will do it for this week's edition of Prime Picks. Michael, even though we didn't always agree on all the picks, it's been a pleasure doing Prime Picks together.
Likewise, Danny. We hope you all enjoyed our signature segment as we enjoyed it ourselves.
When we come back, our send-off after a great fall semester.
Welcome back to our show. Track and field season is well underway, and the Owls have started off hot with multiple gold medals and even a personal best. OwlSports Updates' Sarah Winston is live at the studio set to talk about this early success this season. Hey, Sarah.
Thanks, guys. The Temple track and field program kicked off its season strong at the Yuri Spence Garcia meet hosted by St. John's. For the 8th time in her career, pole vaulter Allie Riches set a new benchmark for pole vaulters, along with a personal best of 4.10 meters. Riches also tied for first place alongside the professional pole vaulter Caitlin Derman. 4 other Owls also took first place in their respective events, with Jade Pope in the 400-meter, Naya Brown in the 60-meter hurdles, Anara Shell in the triple jump, and Obimaka Iguinaga in the long jump. All 4 athletes are new to the program this year. Before taking a 5-week break, the Owls have one more meet left in December. Temple will compete Friday in the Fast Times Before Finals, hosted by Lehigh University. Then it's break time until mid-January when the Owls travel to Penn State. Reporting live from the studio set, I'm Sarah Winton. Guys, back to you.
So this is our last show of the semester. 3 months of broadcast bliss.
We want to highlight some of those who make it all happen. We're starting off with the best-looking duo of the bunch. Nothing but wins as the men's basketball team is off to a fantastic start. Too many fish jokes too early?
Temple has what it takes to get its season back on track and get back into the national conversation with a possible top ranking. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Owen Hill. Guys, back to you on the desk.
You can catch both of the two playing together live this Sunday against Villanova at 2 p.m. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm Jaden Rivera, and I'm live at Leah Core Center. Back to you guys.
Jake Holzhauer live from Edberg Olson Hall. Homecoming is this weekend
at 7:30. Reporting live from the Leah Core Center, I'm Kylie O'Connor. Guys, it's back to you at the desk.
That's a look at our crew as we say our final goodbye for the final time in 2023. I would first like to thank our producers Miriam Akraz and Sam Massid and all of our amazing class members and volunteers who have made this show possible. We obviously cannot go on without mentioning our executive producer Matt Fine, the mastermind behind all of this. And I personally would like to thank my right-hand man behind the desk, Danny Podolsky. It has been an amazing semester covering Temple sports with you.
Michael, the feeling is mutual. It's been awesome. I also want to shout out our producers, Miriam Akraz and Sam Massid. You guys have been incredible all semester. Huge shout out to our executive producer, Matthew Fine. Matthew, I want to thank you. You took a chance on me, and I'm so happy that you did that. Big shout out to TUTV Assistant General Manager, George Cummings. He is retiring at the end of the semester. George is our master control, guiding each show every week. We will miss him tremendously. Our time is up in TV3. Have a wonderful winter break. Stay on the train. The series will change, and we'll see you back here in January when OwlSports Update returns.